What if one of the most famous actors in the world started with nothing but a guitar and a dream? In this video, you will learn English through the amazing life story of Johnny Depp. Follow his journey from a shy boy in a small town to a global movie star. This story is told in clear English to help you improve your vocabulary, listening, and understanding. Use subtitles, listen carefully, and learn new words while enjoying a powerful and true story. What if one of the biggest movie stars in the world started out as a shy kid with a guitar and no plan? Johnny Depp's story begins in a small town, far from the Hollywood lights. It's a story of change, struggle, and dreams. Johnny Depp was born on June 9, 1963 in Owensboro, Kentucky. His family was not rich. They moved often and life was not always easy. He was the youngest of 4 children. His mother worked hard as a waitress. His father was an engineer. When Johnny was 7 years old, the family moved to Florida. He did not like moving. He missed his friends and his home. In his new town, Johnny felt like an outsider. He was quiet and shy. He did not enjoy school. Johnny loved music more than anything. He got his first guitar when he was 12 years old. It changed his life. He would sit in his room for hours and play. Music helped him feel calm and free. It became his favorite escape. Johnny's parents often fought. When he was 15, they got divorced. This made him feel sad and confused. He stayed with his mother. She later married again, but life at home was still hard. Johnny used music to deal with his feelings. He played rock music with his friends. They started a band and played at local clubs. He dreamed of being a rock star. Johnny did not enjoy school. He thought it was boring and didn't fit his dreams, so he dropped out at age 16. His school principal told him to follow his passion. Johnny never forgot that advice. It made him believe in himself. He focused on music full-time. His band traveled to different cities. They played in bars and clubs. They didn't make much money. Sometimes Johnny slept in friends' cars. He lived simply and had little food. But he didn't give up. He believed one day things would get better. He kept playing and working hard. Johnny met other musicians and artists. They inspired him to be creative. He loved the freedom of being an artist. At the time, he had no interest in acting. Movies were not part of his dream. Music was everything. But his life was about to change. One day, he visited Los Angeles. His band hoped to find success there. In Los Angeles, he met a man who would change his path. That man was Nicolas Cage, an actor. Nicolas liked Johnny's look and style. He told Johnny to try acting. At first, Johnny said no. He didn't think he was good enough. He had never studied acting. He didn't see himself on screen. But Nicolas told him to try just once. So Johnny went to his first audition. It was for a scary movie. The movie was A Nightmare on Elm Street. Johnny played a small role. He didn't expect much. But the movie became a hit, and people noticed Johnny. He had something special. He didn't know it then, but that moment was the start of something big. Johnny's life was about to change forever, and he was just getting started. Before he was a movie star, before the red carpets, before the fame, there was just a quiet boy with a guitar. A boy with pain, talent, and dreams. That's where it all began. A boy in a small town, a guitar in his hands, a fire in his heart. Johnny Depp's first movie opened a new door. He started to think about acting more seriously. He was surprised people liked him on screen. He still played music, but acting gave him new ideas. He was curious about this world. He wanted to learn more. He went to more auditions. He read movie scripts. He watched other actors and took notes. Johnny didn't go to acting school. He learned by doing. He listened to directors. He paid attention on set. His next big chance came with a TV show. It was called 21 Jump Street. He played a young police officer. The show was about young cops who went undercover in schools. It was exciting and new. People loved it. Johnny became famous. Teens loved his look and style. Magazines put him on the cover. But Johnny was not happy. He didn't like being a teen idol. He wanted to play deeper roles. He felt the show was not true to his heart. He wanted to do more serious acting, so he made a big decision. After a few seasons, he left the show. Many people were shocked, but Johnny followed his heart. He chose strange and interesting movie roles. He played characters that were unique and different. In 1990, he played a role that changed everything. He was Edward Scissorhands, a boy with scissors for hands. The movie was sad, sweet, and strange. It was a big hit. People saw Johnny in a new way. The film was directed by Tim Burton. Tim liked Johnny's style. They became close friends. Together, they made many films. Each one was special. Each one showed Johnny's creative side. Johnny didn't want to be a typical Hollywood actor. He liked risk. He liked art. He played dark, funny, and emotional roles. He changed how he looked and spoke for each part. Some movies did well, others did not. But Johnny didn't care. He wanted to stay true to himself. He said no to big action roles. He said no to easy money. He said yes to stories that moved him. People began to respect his choices. They saw him as a real artist, not just a movie star. He still played music when he had time. He stayed close to his band friends. He loved being on stage. Johnny also painted and wrote poems. He was quiet and private, but he had many ideas inside. Fans around the world followed his journey. They saw him grow and change. They loved his heart and honesty. By the mid-1990s, Johnny Depp was known for doing things his way. He had made his own path. And the world was starting to see that his story was far from over. In the early 2000s, Johnny Depp's life changed again. He was offered a role in a big Disney movie. It was called Pirates of the Caribbean. The movie was about pirates, treasure, and sea battles. Johnny was asked to play Captain Jack Sparrow. At first, some people didn't think he was right for the role. He was known for strange and quiet characters, but Johnny had a new idea. He wanted to make Jack Sparrow funny and wild. He used big hand movements and a strange voice. He said he was inspired by rock stars. He acted like a pirate who didn't follow the rules. Disney was nervous. They thought his acting was too strange, but Johnny didn't change. He said, "This is who Jack is." The movie came out in 2003. It was a huge hit. People loved Johnny's version of the pirate. Kids dressed like Jack Sparrow for Halloween. Adults laughed at his jokes. Critics were surprised. Johnny was nominated for many awards. He became a global star. The world finally saw how creative he could be. Pirates of the Caribbean became a movie series. Johnny played Jack Sparrow again and again. Fans couldn't get enough. He brought energy and fun to the role. Each time he added something new, it became his most famous character. Johnny also kept working on other films. He played Willy Wonka, a strange candy maker. He played the Mad Hatter, a colorful tea party guest. These roles were also directed by Tim Burton. The two friends continued to create strange and magical stories. Johnny's face was now known all over the world. He was on posters, magazines, and toys. But fame did not change him too much. He stayed quiet and private. He still loved music and art. He gave money to children's hospitals. He visited sick kids while dressed as Jack Sparrow. He wanted to help others smile. He said, "If I can make one person happy, it's worth it." People loved him even more for this. Even with all his fame, Johnny felt shy in public. He did not enjoy interviews. He preferred to stay behind his characters. He often said acting was like hiding. When he played someone else, he felt more free. Johnny continued to choose unusual roles. He did not want to be safe. He wanted to take risks. Some movies were hits, some were not, but he kept working. He loved to tell stories. He also kept playing music with his band. He played guitar on stage and in studios. Music stayed close to his heart. It reminded him of his youth. It helped him feel whole. By the end of the 2000s, Johnny Depp was one of the biggest stars in the world. But his heart was still full of art and dreams. And even though he had reached the top, his journey was far from finished. As Johnny Depp's career reached new heights, his personal life became more complex. Fame brought attention, and not all of it was good. People followed his every move. The media watched him all the time. They wrote stories about his relationships and his behavior. Johnny had always been a private person, but now his life was public. Every photo, every word, every mistake was shared. He had relationships with famous actresses and singers. Some lasted for years, some ended with pain. He had 2 children with French singer Vanessa Paradis. Their names were Lily Rose and Jack. Johnny loved being a father. He said his children gave him peace. They made him feel safe and proud. He tried to keep them away from the cameras. For a while, he lived in France. Life was quieter there. He could focus on his family and his art. But Hollywood kept calling. He flew back and forth for movies. The travel was hard and so was the pressure. Over time, Johnny began to struggle with stress. Some reports said he drank too much, others talked about problems on set. He was still acting in big films, but people noticed he seemed tired, he looked different. Then came a very public court case. Johnny and his wife, actress Amber Heard, began to fight in court. They both accused each other of bad things. The media reported on every detail. People took sides. It was hard for Johnny. He said many of the stories were not true. He said his name and life were being hurt. The case went on for years. Johnny lost movie roles, some fans stayed loyal, others were confused. In 2022, a major trial was held in the United States. It was about truth, reputation, and justice. Millions of people watched it online. They listened to Johnny speak in court. He looked calm but serious. He said he wanted to tell his story. He said he had lost everything but still believed in truth. In the end, the court mostly supported Johnny. They said he had been wronged. The result gave him hope. After the trial, Johnny thanked his fans. He said their support kept him strong. He was ready to move forward. He started to appear in public again. He played music. He smiled more. He talked about new projects. He also said he was not just an actor. He was a painter, a writer, a dreamer. Even after so many years, Johnny stayed true to who he was, a person full of feelings, flaws, and passion. His story had dark chapters, but also chapters of courage. He had fallen, but he never gave up. And now, the world waited to see what he would do next. After the trial, Johnny Depp began to rebuild his life. He returned to the things he loved: music, painting, and quiet moments. He joined his rock band again. They played concerts in Europe. Fans cheered and welcomed him with open arms. He smiled more. He seemed peaceful. Music gave him comfort and joy. He also returned to acting. He took on smaller projects. He wanted to choose roles that felt personal and true. In 2023, he played the role of King Louis XV in a French film. It was a big step. It was his first major role after the court case. He wore a crown and fancy clothes, but the real success was his comeback. People watched closely. They wanted to know if he still had the magic, and many said, yes, he did. Johnny also began to focus on art. He painted famous people. He shared his work with fans. His art showed his feelings. It was colorful, honest, and full of meaning. He sold his paintings at galleries. They sold out fast. People wanted to own a piece of his story. Through it all, Johnny stayed humble. He thanked his fans again and again. He said, "You gave me strength. You reminded me who I am." He did not talk much about the past. He wanted to move forward. He wanted peace. He stayed close to his children. They had grown up, but they were still his pride. He also kept a small group of friends, people he trusted, people who stood by him. He said life had taught him many lessons. One of them was to never give up. Even when the world turns against you, you can still find light. You can still create beauty. Johnny started to appear at film festivals. He smiled for cameras again, but this time it felt different. He was not chasing fame. He was sharing his voice, and people listened. Young actors looked up to him. They saw someone who took risks, someone who stayed true to his heart. Johnny gave advice when asked. He said, "Be kind, be brave, and always believe in your art." He spoke softly, but his words had power. They came from experience, from pain and growth. By 2024, Johnny Depp had returned, but not to the old spotlight. He had found something better. A place where he could be himself, an artist, a father, a survivor. His fans continued to support him. They followed his work. They listened to his music. They read his words. And Johnny gave them a message. Life is hard, but it's also full of second chances. He was proof that a person can fall and rise again. That being true to yourself is the greatest success of all. And his story was not over. It was still being written, one note, one brush stroke, one scene at a time. Johnny Depp's journey is more than a Hollywood story. It is a story about dreams, pain, growth, and staying true to yourself. He started as a shy boy in a small town. He had no idea what his future would hold. He just knew that he loved music, that he had something to express, and that he wanted to live with passion. Over the years, he became many things: a guitarist, an actor, a father, an artist. He played wild characters. He wore costumes and spoke in voices. He made people laugh, cry, and think. He worked with famous directors. He created roles that became part of film history. But behind all the movies and fame, Johnny was still the same person, a man who searched for meaning. He made mistakes, he faced hard times, but he kept going, he never gave up. His story shows that life is not always easy, but with courage you can keep moving forward. He reminds us that being different is okay, that being yourself is more important than being perfect. Johnny once said, "If you love something, do it with your whole heart." He lived by that rule. And his fans felt it. They saw his honesty, they saw his love for art. He did not chase money, he did not try to be liked by everyone, he followed his heart. That is why people respect him, not just for his roles, but for his spirit. Johnny Depp continues to act, to paint, to make music. He continues to grow. He is no longer just a movie star. He is a symbol of strength, creativity, and resilience. He teaches us that fame is not the goal. The goal is to be real, to be kind, to stay strong when life gets hard. From a boy with a guitar to a man with millions of fans, his story is full of lessons. Lessons about believing in yourself, about taking risks, about starting again. For English learners, Johnny's story is a great example. You can learn new words and ideas through his life. You can hear simple English and deep meaning. You can practice listening and feel inspired. Because every person has a story, and every story helps us learn. So remember this, if you are going through something hard, keep going. If you have a dream, follow it. If you feel alone, know that others have walked your path, and they kept walking. Johnny Depp's story is still being written, but what he has already shared is enough to teach us a lot. And maybe, just maybe, it helps you believe in your own story too. Keep learning, keep dreaming, and never stop being yourself. Thank you for watching Johnny Depp's story. We hope this video helped you practice your English and feel inspired. What did you learn today? Leave a comment and share your favorite part of the story. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more English stories. Keep listening, keep learning, and remember, your story matters too. See you in the next video.